Disclaimer for the video. I hated this episode. End disclaimer. Also, excuse me if I say anything that displeases you. Yeah, so fans of this episode, I'd leave the video now unless you want to hear my point of view, which I doubt you will, because this episode of Power Rangers Super Samurai, Episode 3, Trading Places. First of all, the title is an insult. That was a good movie. I mean it. That was a good movie. And they had to use it for this one. And the title, pretty much, it makes sense, but there's a ton of other puns they could have done with this title. I mean, they could have used anything. That's just what makes it. And also, this episode is the only episode of Power Rangers that I absolutely hate. I mean it. I hate this episode. I've sat through all the Mighty Morphin, all Zeo, all Turbo, In Space, Lost Galaxy, Let's Be Rescue, Time Force, Wild Force, Ninja Storm, SPD, Dino Thunder. Yeah, I know, I'm not getting these in order. Mystic Force, Overdrive. I've sat through Overdrive. None of the episodes made me mad. Sure, they weren't that good, but I still sort of like them because, I don't know, just something weird about me. And, I mean, RPM, it's one of my 3 favorite seasons. Yeah, but, I mean, and Samurai, I thought it was okay when I was first watching it last season. Yeah, I don't get that. Why call it Super Samurai if all you change is the fact that they get a power-up? I mean, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers got power-ups all the time, and you never saw them changing their names to, like, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I mean, because that, and the reason for that is it's stupid to change the name when nothing changes except the powers. I mean, they never call them Mighty Ninja Power Rangers or Ninja Morphin Power Rangers. I mean, ugh. Super Samurai, give me a break. And you didn't even change the theme song. All you did was just have Power Rangers Super. Then it changes to Samurai. Like, oh, yeah, we're gonna change the name, but we don't want to change the theme song because that costs money. So just add Super, make it disappear, and then change it and go to the Samurai logo. Ugh, and I've mostly been yelling about the generals of this season, and this episode, it made me mad because it reminded me of a similar episode that I didn't hate, but I didn't think it was a good Power Rangers episode. It would have been a good episode of some different TV show, but not Power Rangers. And that episode was Trakina's Revenge. This episode reminded me of Trakina's Revenge. And that is made me mad because in all actuality I thought Trakina's Revenge was a whole lot better than this episode. I mean it. Okay, let's see. I gotta remember, how does it start out? They're at a flea market, I guess, selling stuff, and Mike and Emily try some of Antonio's stuff, food, and people trade with inanimate objects because of a nylock. At least I think that's how it started. I don't remember. I'm trying to block this out as much as possible. I just remember. And don't get me started on all this. I mean, trading with inanimate objects. It sounds like it'd be pretty cool, right? The way they do it is just stupid. I mean, the people take the shape of the object. That's like saying as soon as they switch the object can move their limbs. I mean, so if it can move their limbs, does that mean that the items have consciousness? Or, I mean, ugh, and if they have consciousness, why don't they move anymore? Why their brains are like this? But what if someone? But what if one of the? But what if like the garden gnome that they switched Jaden with got the idea like, hey, I can move now, and then he starts moving Jaden. I mean, that would have been an interesting idea. Otherwise, they should have been in the exact same pose they were in before they got switched. I mean, sure, you wouldn't get the Kevin is a ballerina pose, but I mean, make a lot more sense. Episode. And uh, oh, oh. And the fact that Antonio doesn't even get to morph before he's like the third person that the Nylock attacks. I mean, he gets like one line before he's all like frozen as a fish. And I mean, none of them notice the Nylock. They're just like, they see something happen. They don't see anything else. The Nylock. I mean, I'm pretty sure if one person knows the Nylock, everyone will be running. I mean, gosh, this episode. Oh. And I mean, uh, I wanna. And the problem with this episode is that throughout all of it, it had a lot of potential. Because, I mean, when I think of Trading Places, after I finish thinking of the movie, I think, as I think of Trading Places as a story perspective, Trading Places, besides the usage in the movie, I think like body switching. That's what I think. I mean, it would have been cool to see like Jaden switch with, I mean, like Kevin and Mike switch, like Kevin and Mike switch, Antonio and I don't know, whichever one Jaden doesn't switch with. It's either gonna be Antonio or Mia or Antonio and Emily. I think Antonio and Mia might be a little funnier. I don't know. So that would mean Jaden and Emily switch, and then they have to learn to fight using their switched person's body. And that would have been a really, really, really interesting episode. I mean, like, Kevin has to learn how to fight his Mike, use his weapons and everything, and that would have been really interesting. But no, they switch into inanimate objects, and I mean, it also would have been cool if they could hear them. But I mean, I know garden gnomes don't have vocal cords, but if you're gonna let the garden gnome move into position before it freezes, why can't Jaden say anything? I mean, you could at least let him. I mean, you could at least make it where they can say one sentence, and then they can't, and then no one can understand them anymore. I mean, sure, most of them will be wasted on screaming, but I mean, you would think like maybe Emily and Mike hear Mia do one scream and Kevin does one scream. Jaden realizes that they can hear one thing, and then he tells them something, or I don't know. What would Jaden know about that? I don't know, but I mean, that would have been a cool idea. It would have been a really, really cool idea if they could like say one thing before they're silenced. Sort of like how the garden gnome can move into position before it's frozen. Great. And then, and Bulk and Spike. Usually, their parts are the funniest in the episode. And that's still true in this episode. But not even that was enough to save this episode. And Bulk and Spike are usually what save an episode for me. But I thought it was totally, totally wasted. I mean, sure, it was cool, but I mean, actually, it wasn't even wasted. They did fine. They're like the best part of the show. And this episode is just so bad. I can't I can't even let them. Ugh. This episode. Man. And then but and I gotta continue. Like, Okay, so Jaden switches with a garden gnome, Kevin switches with a ballerina doll, Mia switches with a fan, Antonio switches with a fish. Okay, I know he was cooking the fish, but does that mean he was on the grill or was he in the ice? Oh, that hurt if he was on the grill. I mean, and it's said that it's probably assumed that they could feel everything that happened to the can. I mean, well, can for bulk. I mean, the fish for Antonio, he would have been, oh, that would have hurt. If he was on the ice, it still would have hurt. I mean, because that's freezing. Oh, man, I don't want to think about it. Don't want to think about this episode at all, but, and then Bulk turns into a can, and Spike's some newspaper, and some other people turn into other stuff. There was excessive focus on a coat rack for some reason. Don't know. But that's like the person who appeared the most was the coat rack person, besides the Rangers and Bulk and Spike. And, well, and, well, let's see what happens. Then, when they go to the dojo, they bring all the Rangers and their items, and it's totally, oh, and then they go out and Mike's training, and then Emily comes out and asks why he's training, even though she knows none of the other Rangers can help them. Emily, you may not be my favorite character, or even my least favorite, but that is the stupidest thing you could have said. And then Mike goes on about how he doesn't want Emily to get hurt. And I'm all like, and I'm thinking, well, I know Clash of the Red Rangers takes place after this episode. It's obvious. They have a lot of stuff they don't have in this episode. They had a lot of extra stuff. And you're supposed to tell me that Emily is so oblivious. She doesn't notice. I mean, that sounds like really bad written fanfic. The girl's oblivious to the guy even after he makes the most obvious hints. Oh. Oh. I mean it. I just. Oh. And I mean, like. And then they have to fight the Nylok, and then Mike gets hit, and because he has a plan to switch with the Nylok, and it works. But what I was thinking is he was gonna hit Mike and then shot, and then Emily says no. I thought she was gonna jump in the way, and they were gonna switch. That would be part of my. That was sort of part of my idea, but I mean, it would have been, and then they switch, and then they still beat him using the other person's powers. And then when the Nihilux defeat the first time, all the souls go back to normal, and thus you don't risk the fact that. And when I saw the Nihilok and Mike grab the sword and slice him, I thought he was gonna kill Mike. I mean, that would have been interesting. It's like the only way to release all the souls is to defeat the Nihilok. And then he defeats the Nihilok, but not Mike's the Nihilok. So what I was wondering is, oh my gosh, is he gonna die? And then as a giant Nihilok, is it still gonna be Mike or is it gonna be the Nihilok? I mean, I'm like thinking, and then nope, he just cuts a part off, and all the souls get released, and I'm like, this episode, it has a lot of potential. I mean, it, if it had done at least one thing interesting, it would be in my top 5 favorite episodes. And I mean, that's a pretty high list because my top 5 episodes are like Countdown to Destruction, um, If Vengeance Ones. I know it's practically just a clip show, but I thought I liked it. I thought that the Dr. K and Ziggy subplot worked, although I'm still questioning how Summer got the passcode, even though it was Gemma who was there in all the flashbacks. Do they have cameras posted all over the thing and Summer just watches them, hoping to catch a glimpse of something? Because that raises a lot of questions. And I mean, let's see, if Endrix won, Andros and the Stowaway. I mean, some people might not like it. I liked it because it showed one of the Rangers keeping his lesson from Wasp with the Heart. Granted, it was the wrong Ranger, and Cassie wanted to kill the monster as soon as she saw it, but Andros remembered. I mean, that's half points. And personally, I just thought the episode was really good and stuff. And, well, like, and then there's the episode and the end of time I really liked. And, well, fifth one, oh, this is really hard. I liked a lot of episodes. I think it'd possibly be the Jungle Fury penultimate episode because I thought it was so awesome. I'm like, okay, nothing the finale does can top this. And I was right. It didn't. Because in the penultimate episode, I liked because it had Casey walking unmorphed to Dai-Shi, Jared, and he defeated all those monsters. I thought, oh, whoa, that's awesome. And this episode, if it had done like anything else, anything different, if it had done anything different, even if it had been two of the different Rangers, I mean, Mike and Emily, I mean, it's all like, they're really pushing for this Emily romance, I guess, because of that. And I saw in Class of Red Rangers it was gonna happen, but, and I mean, like, and I also hate this episode because of a personal bias. I mean, sure, I hate all this episode. All this, the only all my opinion. These are all opinions. You gotta believe me. I don't think it's fact that this episode is bad. I know some people could like it. I know some people can hate it. I know some people who are on the fence about it. Well, I don't know any people. I know people could be, but like, and my personal bias is that I am a Gemily shipper. My ship was sunk during Clash of the Red Rangers, but I knew that's a long ways away. Get out! And, sorry, anyways, I had to do this, and then, oh, what was I gonna say? Stupid, let's see. Yeah, Clash of the Red Rangers sunk my Gemily ship, but I still write fanfics about Jade and Emily. I just ignore the canon. And, okay, I'll ask you this. How many times has Power Rangers actually paired together the fan-preferred couple? Let's see. Tommy Kim? Well, that they can actually show on TV. I know the gay couples are the most popular. But let's see. The straight couples. Let's see. Tommy Kim? They sunk that in Zeo. In the worst way possible. Now, I didn't hate that episode. I just hated that scene. That scene. That's it. I just hate that scene because, and the implication is, she sent it to the juice bar. She sent the letter where she breaks up with Tommy to the juice bar, where everyone would hear it. That, that is Kimberly being a bitch. I mean it. That, and then, and she couldn't have sent it to his house where he could at least read it in privacy. That, oh man. And this episode is worse than that. I hate it more than I hated the letter scene. And yeah, I know, and the family for couples. Most people prefer Lily and Casey, not Lily and Theo. And all this stuff, I mean, And there's like, most people prefer Jen and Alex, which is weird since he seems to be almost abusive. I don't know. Uh, Contrary to Wes and Jen. And maybe Taylor and Eric. I don't know. That's maybe one. I don't know. Some of these aren't my strong suit. And then, but, I mean, this episode, I know I've been saying that a lot, but it's caused me to, I just can't. I hate it so much that if I were to do a step-by-step review of this, it'd be 5 hours long. This is a one-part standalone episode, and I've almost already, just basically going through it at random, filled up the time the episode took. And it's just me by myself. There's not anyone here to distract me besides him. But anyways, I mean, I think that I mean, even if I had to follow the summary of the plot, even if I had to follow the summary that was given before the episode, I might have been able to write a better episode than this. I'm not saying I'm that good of a writer, and I'm not saying that I'm going to. I'm not saying that I'm right and everyone else is wrong. I'm just saying I might have been able to write a better episode, even if I had to use it where they turn into inanimate objects. Although my first choice would have been the body switching thing, because, I mean, that would be the most interesting. See Jaden having to fight using Emily's powers, and Emily using the black box as Jaden. I mean, and all this, like, and there would have been like all this confusion. I mean, and Bulk and Spike could have switched with each other too. I mean, just because they have to be involved in the plot somehow. I mean it, and it seems like they're really forced in. Although this one they did at least get some decent amount of screen time. Still don't know why they're in the main credits though. Although Bulk and Skull were in the main credits of In Space the entire time, and they were never in, and they were only in like what, 3, 6, 10 of those episodes out of 43. I mean, yeah. I mean, and the ending. Oh, the ending. So what Mike does is when they're all inanimate objects, he dresses Kevin up in a tutu because he's posed like a ballerina, and Kevin gets mad at him and shows Mike took pictures on his Samuraiser. What? I mean, I could understand it if he had something else he took pictures on, like a real camera. His Samuraiser? What, can he just upload him to Facebook on there too? I mean, they're treating these more like actual cell phones than they are mystical morphers. I mean, sure, the belt buckles were stupid, but I mean, at least they weren't used for anything like that. That. Ah. And then. Oh. 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 And to tell you the truth, I actually haven't seen the first 2 episodes of this season because I was gone and I can only find reruns of the second episode so far, but I'm always gone when they air. So this is actually my first encounter with Super Samurai. Fitting. The first season starts with the 3rd episode, and I start the 2nd season with the 3rd episode. God damn it. This episode just pisses me off. I wish You know, I wish they didn't have to stick so close to Sentai, and I've never actually seen the Sentai, but from what I hear, they're sticking so close to the Sentai that when they change something, it opens up plot holes. I mean, if you're gonna stick with it the entire way. Don't be like Kalish or Kalish or however you pronounce it. I don't know. And, uh, and just go the entire way. You can make them Japanese if you want to. I mean, that's practically where they are. I mean, are they in America or Japan? And the first season was never clear about that. I mean, this one, I mean, since Bulk's there, I mean, it's probably America, but who knows? Bulk might have moved to Japan because of all the conflicting locations. I mean, at least Kalish, at least that other guy kept it where you could tell it was supposed to be in America instead of being in American Englander many ants. Antarctica. I don't know. But anyways, and then uh well, I guess I am I mean it like and as I'm and like I said, I can actually picture the entire episode my way, the way I envisioned it, where they trained bodies. I can actually see an entire episode built around that. I mean, and I might be a little fuzzy, but how many times has Power Rangers done the switching bodies? I mean, they had that one episode in Mighty Morphin where Billy and Kim switched bodies, but and I I don't I don't know. I'm a little fuzzy. It might have been a filler episode that I just didn't bother to remember. I mean, sure, I I've seen every episode. It's getting really hard to remember since there's over 700 of them. If I had the DVDs, I might have been able to. If I had a DVD of full seasons, but that's another video that I've already posted, then I might have been able to check to see if there was one. But since it's getting hard to check because of all this stuff, and since I don't have a Netflix or Amazon Prime, whatever that is, I don't know what you need to do for Amazon Prime, but I don't care. I'm just trying, and I've calmed down a little because I've stopped focusing on this episode and thinking of others, like Countdown to Destruction and how I could be watching that right now instead of this, or I could be watching that instead of doing this review. But no, we have to talk about this episode. Yeah, like I said, this is the only episode of Power Rangers to make me angry. Not even the pizza episode made me angry. And most people say that's the episode they can never get through more than once because it angers them so much. This is my pizza episode. And considering this is my return to Power Rangers after it not being on and me missing the last 2 weeks because I had stuff going on Saturdays, I don't know. I'm not gonna quit on Power Rangers. I know it can do better than this. I've seen it do better than this. In Samurai, I've seen Samurai do better than this. Granted, I've never seen Super Samurai do better than this. And I can't find the other 2 episodes anywhere. I mean, it's impossible. I could always check my TV, but it seems the only episode were early. The only rerun of the second episode was earlier today. And if there's another one, I'd like to know about it, but episode. I I just uh I'm probably just gonna keep I could keep going on, but I think I've said all that I can say without repeating myself a million times, which I've already done. So I guess this is end of it for now. If I think of anything else, since, well, thinking about that, even if I did write the fanfic, I don't think anyone would read it. I mean, it's stupid. But anyways, I guess I'm done with that. So this is DeweyFin21 signing off. And wait, did I? I don't even know if I covered the entire episode. Oh well. If you don't know what I'm, if you, yeah. Oh, I should have put a spoiler warning at the beginning, but I mean, it's a filler episode. What did you think would happen?